All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As Katia mentioned, my name is Roberta Rebeschini. I am a graduate student at the agronomy department under Dr. Andra Bates supervision. And I'll talk a little bit about a perennial grain called Kernza, what it is, how it is grown, and what the opportunities are. So to start with, what is Kernza? So Kernza is the trademark name for the grain harvested from intermediate wheatgrass, and it was developed by the Land Institute in Salina, Kansas. So we usually refer as Kernza for the grain and intermediate wheatgrass for the plant, but they are basically the same. It is a cool season, low input perennial grass and usually grows 2 to 4.5 tall, so it's a pretty tall plant. The spike of this plant grows 4 to 8 inches long, with spikelets set close to the flowering stems. So as you can see in the diagram, each spikelet is composed by small florets, which forms the inflorescence of the plant. So why Kernza? Why are we studying Kernza? Why are some farmers growing this crop? So as mentioned earlier, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I like to use this picture here to show you how long the root system of Kernza can go in the soil. The roots can extend 10 feet or more beneath the soil. And the yield potential of Kernza is increasing. And after we harvest the grain, the stems and leaves can be used to be grazed. So it's a dual purpose crop. So it is a grain, it is a forage, and it also provides ecosystem services by efficiently taking up water and nutrients and also delivering some atmospheric carbon to your soil. In good conditions of management and weather, Kernza seed heads can contain more seeds than an annual wheat head. So one of the main points and one of the main goals from the breeding programs is they are trying to increase the seed size, as you can see here in the picture, when compared to wheat. Kernza seed is much smaller than wheat. So this is one of the main goals from the breeding programs. Additionally, intermediate wheatgrass is adapted to a wide range of soils, and it produces an excellent hay and pasture, either alone or in combination with a legume. As you can see here in the picture, this is part of one of our experiments located here at the NRAC, where we are evaluating the development of Kernza when intercropped with alfalfa or clover. This picture, we have Kernza intercropped with alfalfa. So we are basically trying to evaluate the forage quality when we intercrop Kernza with a legume and trying to achieve a greater ecological intensification. So how is Kernza grown? It's pretty similar to winter wheat. So basically, Kernza needs temperatures between 32 and 50 Fahrenheit degrees for about 6 weeks in order to achieve the flowering stage and later to produce grain. As a perennial crop, it does not require an annual tillage. So once we plant, we won't have to plant it again in the next years. And once Kernza is established, usually require less fertilizer and little or no herbicide applications. A little bit about the planting. Usually, Kernza is planted in the fall, so most part of the growers will plant in August, between August 1st and September 15th. And we usually use a half an inch as a depth for planting Kernza, and we can use a seeder and a packer to plant. Here's a picture of me and our technician, Tommy Galusha, when we were planting Kernza in 2021. A little bit about the harvesting. So usually Kernza is harvested in the summer or early fall. Just for you so to have an idea, we harvested our experiments in 2022 in the last week of July, first week of August. So it can be swathed and collected with a pickup header, or it can be directed harvested. You just need to adjust the combine for the small size of the grain. We do have some challenges when we talk about the harvest. First of all, we notice some moisture differences along the spike, as well as seed size differences. So because of that, you are going to see that the seeds mature in different rates along the spike. So this is a little bit challenging if you consider when to harvest. It's something that you kind of need to go early in the daily in the field when you are close to harvest maturity, because you are going to notice that the bottom third of the spike will not be as dry as the top. So it's a little bit challenging. And depending on how much time you wait to harvest, some shattering can occur with the seeds. Those are pictures from our trials that are also located here at the NREC, as I mentioned. This is Kernza in 2022 when we reached the harvest maturity. A little bit about the forage. So the summer residue can be swatted and baled after we harvest the grain. And the quality of this forage is comparable to oat and wheat straw. Intermediate wheatgrass can also be grazed throughout the winter and late fall. And this forage provides a medium to high quality. So this picture here, just to show you that Kernza can provide us with a good biomass, a good amount of biomass in the field. So this is Kernza 9 months after planting in the beginning of June of last year. The grain yields of Kernza, it can vary depending on the management and environmental conditions. In 2021, the average yields for this crop were around 400 pounds per acre. In a dry year such as we had in 2022, the average yields were between 200 and 500 pounds per acre. Some farmers experienced it a little bit more. In a variety trial that we had between 2018 and 2021 in Nebraska, besides Nebraska, several other states were participating, but we had an excellent relative performance of Kernza in Nebraska in terms of grain yields. It's important to notice that these grain yields are much lower than we are used to see with annual crops, but just highlighting that Kernza is around 30 to 40 years behind modern corn or soybeans or wheat in terms of the genetic traits. So we are improving over the years. This table here is the partial cost of production, and the numbers are based in our experiments for year one, so from 2021 to 2022. And it's basically, I want to highlight here that besides a low input crop, Kernza can be a low cost crop if we consider seed, tillage, fertilizer, and herbicide. Here, the biggest savings for us was a herbicide. We did not have to apply any herbicide so far in our experiments. And considering that it's a perennial crop, we won't have to plant again, so the tillage will be little to none when compared to annual crops such as corn and wheat. So basically, our future costs will be with fertilizer in the next years. Here I have a table with the nutritional comparison between Kernza flour and grain with wheat, Kernza, and grain. So as a close relative to wheat, Kernza has also application in the food industry. So just pointing two elements of the table, Kernza can contain a higher protein and higher dietary fiber when compared to wheat. But lacks in some gluten components, which can limit the usage in baking goods. But we already can find some products made with Kernza grain in the market. So we have beer, flour, cereal, among other products already commercialized in the market. This map is showing you acres of Kernza grown nationwide. So some data from the Land Institute says that in 2022, we had around 5,000 active acres of Kernza and 54 licensed growers. Most part of these growers are located in the states of Montana, Kansas, and Minnesota. But as you can see here in the map, we have several other states already growing the crop. If you are interested in growing Kernza or becoming a farmer and diversify your production, you can find more information through the link kernza.org/growers. You will find information about how to apply to grow Kernza, or you can directly contact the Land Institute. They are located in Salina, Kansas, but you can find them through their website. Here, I have some QR codes. If you point your camera, you'll be directed to the Kernza Production Basics Guide and the Kernza Planting Equipment Recommendations Guide, which has a lot of helpful information on how to grow this new crop. And finally, you can also point your camera to this QR code. You will be directed to the Perennial Promise Growers Co-op website, which is basically a cooperative formed by farmers and researchers, and they are trying to provide services for farmers interested in growing Kernza or for brands and processors. So definitely, if you are interested, this is a great resource that you can take a look at. Thank you very much. Feel free to reach out to me by email or social media, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Yes, we looked into Kernza a few years ago. It might be 2 or 3 now. At that time, they said that really there was not enough seed and they were not taking applications. So has that changed in the past couple of years?
Yes. So basically what you can do is contact the Land Institute. I know they are every year accepting new farmers. So if you are interested, you can contact them. They will show you how to apply to be a grower. But I'm pretty sure that you can apply from now on to be a grower if you are interested.
Any more questions?
I have one here in the back corner. It sounds like it's still a market that's being developed quite a bit. So I suppose that's probably why they're doing some sort of application for growing. What is the food place or the food grade Kernza? Is that kind of the main market for this perennial, or what are other opportunities that could come out of this? I mean, it's all in just sounds like in discovery mode kind of a little bit, and they're still figuring a lot of stuff out.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about how is the market going. Maybe Andrea can help me answer this, but I know this is growing. As I showed you, we already have some brands, some processors working on products made with Kernza grain, but I don't know, Andrea, if you want to complement.
So to answer the first question too, the seed supply continues to be an issue, even sometimes for us for research. It's not like we, so, but so it's like trying to match the supply and demand of who wants to grow and, my understanding though, in terms of other markets, like other than food grade, I mean, what I would just say is like for cattle, right? I think from a dual use crop, low input standpoint and all the potential that we have in Nebraska for that, it has a lot of potential. I once heard a Kansas Kernza producer say, my wheat crop in Kansas fails every 4th year, or every 3rd year. So like if I get any grain off of it, then it's a benefit, right? So I think that from that standpoint, to get it to pencil out or on less productive acres, I mean, the Land Institute will talk folks through that, but it's, this like supply and demand is difficult to match.
I have a question.
We have time for one more question. Yep.
Seeing the root mass that it had, and what would be any benefits, or is there any benefits as far as cover crop and biomass and all that kind of stuff? And destroying it, feeding it in the fall, but destroying it again for another crop in the springtime.
So yeah, just maybe benefits over cover crops in terms.
Using it as a cover.
Oh, using it as a cover crop.
I mean, we haven't used Kernza as a cover crop. It is indeed a great crop if you want to keep your ground covered for the whole year, because once you plant, Kernza, you're gonna harvest, you are gonna swat and bale the stems and leaves, and your ground will keep it covered. But I'm not sure. I don't think we use Kernza as a cover crop because you can use as a dual purpose crop, but I'm not sure about as a cover crop, right?